Hello and welcome to the Bodyful Minds Podcast. Today I'm joined by Rachel, and before she gets to introduce herself, we'll do a couple of fun questions first. Rachel, hello and welcome to you too. Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Tough one. Okay, so I do coffee like it runs through my veins, in my veins, every morning. But I do love a good hot chamomile tea right before I go to bed. So both, but
Nice.
to start off, coffee.
All right. And running or yoga?
Yoga. 10 out of
I thought
10.
that one was coming.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I tell you what, I tried running earlier this year and I ended up having to buy knee braces. And then I ended up having to buy other knee braces. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? This hurts. And I always preach, if it hurts, don't do it when I'm teaching yoga. And I'm like, well, back to what my body loves, yoga.
Totally. You always got to listen to your body. I couldn't agree more. One word that describes motherhood for you right now.
Mhm. A mirror.
I love that. So true. And lastly, before you get to introduce yourself properly, if you had to describe your career journey in one sentence, what would that be?
Where I've been able to follow the yellow brick road with the breadcrumbs and finding my way through authenticity.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Without further ado, yeah, tell us a bit more about yourself, about your career, about your motherhood. Yep.
Yeah. So thank you first off for having me on your podcast. It is an honor always to be a guest somewhere else and then also to even have someone curious about me. So I really appreciate that and highlighting and getting the chance to highlight what I do and what I provide. So as you mentioned, my name is Rachel Fitzpatrick, and I do have a podcast of my own called The Fitzin Project. But more so than that, I'm a mother of one. He is 4, and I am a yoga teacher, 200 hours certified since 2018. And I lead yoga retreats, I lead yoga sessions, yoga workshops, and it's more than just yoga. It's mind, body, soul connection. And I try to bring in the full trinity with that. So right now, I'm actually like conspiring, so to speak, with 2 other people who are bring the whole embodiment into the full platform in our lighthouse community. So basically, they also help me run with the retreats. But then on the career side, where I've been able to follow that yellow brick road and the breadcrumbs, I started out as a waitress for so many years, for like 10 years. And I'm like, there's got to be more to life. Who do I know? How do I know them? And then I would follow that breadcrumb and get in, and I got into IT healthcare. And then I'm like, I don't really like being in a support forum where I'm answering people's bad day phone calls that just isn't working for them. And I'm like, how can I make this better? And then I'm like, let me go into being an analyst and I can maybe fix the problem before it gets to the support issue. And I did that for a little bit, and I'm like, how do I make this better for me? Because now it's kind of like mundane and a little bit boring. And then I learned about project management. And then from there, how do I make my job better, my career, my people around me? And I've left that company, went to another, and just kind of fortified into project management as it was so much fun. And I just was like, how much more fun can I have? Like, I could travel, I could do everything. I was leading with authenticity and also learning from a space of what I always combined with yoga and these mantras and methods of on and off the mat. So I started making project management more fun in that way. And it just so turns out like that was my inner light, and that was my gift in corporate world, was bringing the yoga with me everywhere I went and leading projects that way. So then I left that company, went to another company through that same mentality of needing to serve myself, like if it hurts, don't do it type thing. Having a little kid at that point, a little baby, needing to stay home, available for my home life that I was creating as well. And at the time I was a single mom. So it was all, just challenging in its own ways and such a gift in its others. But I was able to find a career now where I'm still project management, but now I'm a project executive. I get to work from home, stay home with my son, and he goes to school like 2 days a week. So it's actually just been one of the most fulfilling things. My career married with yoga and then allowing life to happen.
That's wonderful. And it sounds like you've had a lot of, yeah, you poured a lot in there. It's not just, the job was there, you did the job, but you thought about how can I make this better? How can I make this more aligned with me? Which is exactly also what I'm helping mothers to do, because I don't think it comes naturally to everyone. And I'm wondering how much, I think you alluded to it, but maybe we could go into that a bit more deeply, how much a part your yoga practice has had in making you also think that way. Or do you think you were just naturally always like that a little bit? And yeah, I'm just curious to hear more about that.
It's totally not naturally about that. Maybe as a child, and then somewhere along the way, I became very egocentric, and I was, you know, my my own demise basically for a long time. So like those years I was waiting tables and doing that kind of work basically, that was not natural. That was 10 to 15 years of just like being my own worst enemy and, sabotage anything great that came my way because of not knowing self-worth, right? So I get into yoga teacher training, and that's basically where I defined me and understood me a little bit more, knew and understood about myself, the more resourceful I became about how to align myself with exactly what I need. So I did the chip away method, like the crawl before you walk type thing if you're the baby. And it was, do I like this? Yes, let's stay here. Let's feel it out. Let's be in that. And I brought in a lot of breath, and then, like, when things got rough, it was more breath because, like, flaming that fire, building that endurance, you have that in project management, you have that in corporate America all over the place anyway. But, like, how to stay in the thick of it and then stay in the line with your eye on the prize and coming back down. Like, it's the perfect Om if you think about it. The 3-step. And that's in my mind right now because I'm teaching it. I'm doing an Om-tober right now, so I'm teaching that every single morning about how that Om aligns with the body and how it also aligns with your day, even off the mat, out of the chair, going through any type of weave in and out. So, yeah, bringing that physical, emotional, spiritual side of yoga into my daily practice of being a project manager was totally not natural at first, but I followed the natural feelings to keep it alive, if that makes sense.
So, but your yoga teacher training, that was also before you became a mother then, or
hmm
yeah?
Yeah. I did yoga teacher training in 2018, and I got my PMP, my project management professional certificate, in 2019.
All right. Wow. Two certificates or degrees in the same very, very short time frame. Wow, that's amazing.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, in that spark, so that I graduated from yoga teacher training in March of 2018, but it was like a 8-month program that was just so deep in my soul of like digging out what didn't serve me and making so much space for what does. And I think when I just got rid of a lot of stuff, weeding my own garden, so to speak, I was able to make the space because then in 2020, I got pregnant with my son, and, life just unraveled from there. In 2021, I moved. So, yeah, every single year has been this like big, giant transition every single year. Because in 2022, I got my new job. And then in this year, 2025, I got promoted to project executive. So it's like everything has just like stepped in its balance ever since I decided to listen to it.
to allow it in and kind of,
Yeah.
also I think it sounds very much like the yoga working with the breath, with the body. And then in yoga, you also align the breath with the movement that has been transformational for myself too. So I can really relate to that, kind of allowing that space in and the opportunity in also, and feeling able to hold the opportunity that arises and the challenges that arise too. I think there's a difference in whether or not you're kind of seeking challenges too in a healthy way, rather than, constantly chasing something, and being able to hold them, or just, being tense and staying in your spots where you are. Would you agree to that? Do you feel like you're like being in your body physically and working through that has helped you basically step into those challenges?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think you nailed it. Like being in your body and using that breath to move it through, right? You don't want to ever just like stay in one place at one time. We're really just not supposed to. You know how stiff we get just in our body if we're just sit for a long time, if we're like even on an airplane for a long time. Like, my gosh, like how our body craves to move. Well, all of this energy does the same thing. Like it craves, your soul is craving that next level. Your soul is craving for you to just do something that excites you, that can align with you, that can open up this space. But in order to be able to do that, yeah, you got to get rid of the stuff that's not meant for you, that
Yeah,
you
that's not
have
serving.
maybe allowed, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love how you bring project management together with the yoga, or how that aligns for you. Because I think you also say your slogan, if that's okay to say as a slogan, is
Yeah.
business of yourself.
Mm.
That kind of yourself, you can be your own project in a way. Do I
Oh,
understand that
yeah.
right?
Yeah. And the business of yourself is like my key to success. You know, we are the most important projects we're ever going to have. You can call yourself a project or not. I will call it a project because that's just the way my brain is here. And it is where you can meet that ambition, but also aligning in your self worth. And you don't have to sacrifice one or the other because it's a balance of life here. And that's how it is. Like that yoga, that breath and moving it and out of the body, making it go through you. Projects also have a start and an end time, but there is also another one that's waiting to begin, and it's cyclical. If you're in project management, your job is cyclical. If you are a mother, you're cyclical. The same project, you never have that child on that day as that age over again. It is cyclical, it's ongoing, and that's what kind of, it's like that infinity eight that just moves here. And that's how I feel about this being in the business of yourself, is just always just like ever flow and move it.
And sometimes you come back to things that you've encountered before, and sometimes you wonder, how did I get back here again? But then you realize, oh, I was supposed to come back here because, there's still something that needs resolving or so. And I think as women, we're born cyclical, because we've got our monthly cycles and all of that. Yeah, I like that. And I think yoga and project management, like you were saying, projects, sometimes you come across like difficulties. So in yoga, when you go into a pose, maybe one side is a bit harder than the other, and you also have got these blocks. And then what you got to do, kind of breathe through it, and and ease into it, but don't go too far to hurt yourself. And that's also similar, isn't it, for project management? Because if you then just overextend yourself and you're in burnout because you've worked so hard, you can't finish your project either. I see a lot of similarities there too. And would you say that yoga grounds you and the project management pulls you more like away into kind of back into your head, or how would you, or is it more, is it a real balance, or how would you put that?
What a great question. What a really great question. Project management strikes my creativity, and I'm able to like really get into a flow when I'm in creative mode. If I'm like sitting here, for example, even talking to you, it feels project management like I'm able to have a flow of a conversation, and we will also have like the beginning, the meat, and the end, you know. But it's like that with me in project management, is that it is a something new, something exciting, something I can fly away with and like make into this like big creation station. And then yeah, that yoga just like it brings me down to where I can like relate into the earth, relate into my spiritual realm. And I think that's why I don't get stuck anymore in my projects or get stuck in the movement anymore, is because I can move that through my body now. I can keep it out of my hips. And that's where it all goes for me in my body, is my hips and my shoulder. I don't know why. It's just where my body's like, land here. It's like the landing zone's there. And I'm like, would you just move? Would you get out of here?
Oh my God. Yeah, I can so relate to that. It's funny because I just recently did something on Instagram about that, because a lot of people just talk about the jaws and yeah, and clenching, right? And the shoulders going up. But the hips, I mean, we are ready, fight or flight. So we want to be able, our body wants to be able to run, either run away or, get into action. So I think it's totally natural that the biggest muscle in your body would start clenching when you're stressed, but nobody really talks about that. So I love that you mentioned the hips and that. I'm curious, if you don't mind, how does motherhood fit in? So we've been talking about the project, so the career side, and the yoga is also it's kind of it's also career, so it's both a bit career but very different careers. And what does motherhood bring to it for you? Is it, I mean, we all know the challenges when you've got a sick kid and everything, but how does that fit in for you?
Yeah, motherhood has definitely got its challenges, but what I have to remind myself every day, because I teach from 7 to 7:30 almost every day, doing monthly theme things. So like I said, this month is October, but in September I did Soulful September Sunrise. And the month before that, I was doing a 21-day reset. And it's all 7 to 7:30, 30 minutes a day, just for busy mothers, busy people. And what I have found the most as a mirror was I've got to surrender to not having it be perfect. And that's a big challenge for me as an individual, is I plan this yoga retreat, or I'll plan a workshop, or I'll plan this themed out month event, and I'm one that has to give it all or it's not anything, right? So it's like I've got to be 100% present. I want to, anything will float me off or throw me off the path, but I really can't stand distractions, you know. Knowing that about myself allows me to say, self, this is how it's supposed to be. This is what you teach. Practice what you preach, and surrender to your moment. And your moment right now is that your son loves you so much that he wants to do yoga in on the camera because he wants to be like you right now. So self, knowing that your community is here to love you as well and support you as well, then it's okay. And having to align into that, because it's true. Like he is in almost every morning wanting to be part of it, wanting to be seen and snuggled, you know. And we do those things, and I get so irritated because it throws me off. But then I'm like, why? It's not his fault that he loves me so much, that he just wants to be here. So inclusive. And that's how it starts mainly for the day. And then motherhood runs its course throughout the day, as we're super routine. We're routine individuals. He's a routine guy. I'm a total routine. I like to have not my ducks in a row, but I like to have the things that I like to have. Like it's like eating for me, you know, like I like what I like and everything else just like doesn't fit. So it's doing our bath, and it's doing 3 books a night and story time, and making sure we have those intimate moments. And then the moments of play, and make sure we fit in play every single afternoon, whether we're outside or he's riding around in his car, we go on a walk, we're walking the dogs, we're doing a puzzle. It's very involved, and I'm very, it's not lost on me how fortunate I am that I have a career and a boss and a place of work where they also understand how important that is for me to thrive as as a project executive, and also for me to thrive as a yoga teacher, creator, podcaster. That family time is like my most sacred, is special, you know, and he knows that.
That's wonderful. I think you are truly lucky there because I don't think that's the experience for everyone with their boss. So that's brilliant. But I also feel like sharing that you share this here means for other mothers it's possible. And I think that's an inspiration to not just settle with, the boss who's not understanding or who says you got to make a choice. Either you want a career or, you want to be there for your family. If you want to have a career, you got to work at least 55 hours per week and you have to be present so many days of the week and whatnot. So I think I love that you share this here and as an inspiration for other moms to also maybe consider, well, if that's not the context that my company provides, why not, also they're looking elsewhere? I mean,
There are so many companies who want you to thrive in your family because they are very well aware that when their people feel like they have a balance, their company thrives. And that's really the secret sauce of success for any company.
absolutely.
I mean, you cannot tell me otherwise. And I do know that that is available. And I do know how it felt before where I wouldn't have had the time. I was traveling a lot and I was working, and I loved my boss. She's one of my best friends, but like a call at 6 o'clock or 6:30 at night when I'm trying to make dinner just wasn't cutting it really for me, and being available and having to balance. And I was a single mom. And I'm like, and I'll never forget, like I had a call where I felt like I needed to be on camera because everyone else was too. My son's just running around in a diaper and it's 6:30 in the evening and I'm like, this is where this isn't working anymore. I have got to find something that's more conducive to life, even if it was like a pay cut. Like understanding like what my priority was. And I got lucky. It wasn't a pay cut, but at the same time, it was a level up, but it was a level up in effort and times that needed to be a level up so I could level up in my whole life and find that balance.
Yeah, and it's wonderful that you took that risk. It was also a risk, right? Because you never
Oh
know
yeah.
what you get, and it paid off. And I think that's an inspiration for other mothers too.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything that one thing you would tell another ambitious mom from your own experience, from your perspective also as a yoga teacher? It's often hard to say this. One thing that changed everything, something that you feel really does make a big difference, although it's probably a combination of things that has made this move easy for you, also taking that risk maybe, or anything really.
It's a total combination, but I help people find the careers they seek. But it's part of what I start most people with is getting clear, that clarity. What is it that I actually truly want? Because at the end of the day, it may be just the balance of family, work, life, or at the end of the day, it might be I need more money. And then we identify those blocks. Like, what is it that's preventing you to get there where you're at now? Can that be moved? Or do you need to pivot and find another doorway? The longer you stand in line all night at a club to get in the club to find out that you have an hour before the club closes, or do you go around the building and see that there's a side entrance that's also letting people in the club? You know what I mean? So you
Yeah,
have the time.
yeah. You got to find opportunities for yourself. So you need
Exactly.
priorities. You need to know what you want and what you need. I don't know if you share that experience. Often mothers feel like, but I don't have time. I don't even have time to think about myself. I don't
Yeah.
even have time to think about my personal development. my mental load is exploding. How am I going to do this? I think that is
Yeah.
a struggle that I come across, which then means those blocks, they don't even have the bandwidth to identify those blocks, and that's what is keeping them. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you led this into here because I actually have a free fits and priority quadrant that I created to help identify what that looks like, even without a coaching session, right? You can fill this PDF out and read through it and what happened to you just last week. Find how to prioritize what that feels like and change one thing. And you would be amazed about one change, noticing one opportunity, what that does for you for your next step. One.
Yeah.
It is wild. It's like there's your voodoo magic for the day. Like, here's your fill up your cup, and there's one thing. So I will totally share that. It's called
Great.
the Mini Fits and Prioritize PDF work, whatever. I don't even remember what I've named it, but it's a priority sheet and it's just a worksheet and you can do it. You can think about it. It doesn't take a lot of brain power or a lot of time, but it will help you see where your time is and like
Mm.
how you can make one tiny change to move through it.
That's so good, because often we think it's got to be this whole big thing, right? We have to
Mm-hmm.
do like, I don't know, a 60, 90-minute yoga session to feel
No.
better. It doesn't need to be that long. Or we have to go on a long weekend to actually get a break. No, it's about these micro moments, the priority in to take small pockets out of your day to reconnect and then find out what it is that you really want, what you need, and what the next step could be. It doesn't have to be always this massive Caribbean 2-week getaway that is kind of giving you what you need, because that way we're always putting it off, right? It's always kind of a reason to, yeah, but I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I can't do it. And that's the reason we're kind of preventing ourselves from actually accessing those small steps and those priorities that we can set from within. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, we have one. There's really not other people that get in our way more than we get in our own way.
Mm.
And I just want
Yes.
everybody to know that, like in real world terms. If you think other people are in your way, please look at yourself for a minute. You are in your way far more than somebody else. And that is just the fact of it. Like, also, yeah, I love the fact that there are these weekend getaways and you can go and do and reset however you want to. And yeah, that might seem luxurious, but let's not get lost in the fact that those people that go to that, they did this work too. They are not overnight success people. You don't jump out of a plane just because you said, I'm going to go be a skydiver. No, you take a little course and you learn what the impacts are and you just like you're taught like the risks and all the things. And then you go and you either jump or you don't, you know? So that's the decision key is you go through these tiny little moves, as you said, and it's like what I said a minute ago, like it's the breadcrumbs on the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
Just picking it up, and at the end you'll have a loaf, you know? So yeah, I offer retreats and I find this so fun because I just had one last weekend and the people that went they weren't people that just started and met me one day and was like, I'm going to go on your yoga retreat. They have been in my community for a year or longer and knew me and built up the trust to say, yeah, I I know what she's got going on. I know that she's going to make this transformation and I'm going to follow the breadcrumbs that's going to lead me to my own path to see my transformation through. That's what they did. And then they all came out with the quantum leap of their own after they did a little breakdown and a breakthrough and it was just amazing to see. But like they didn't start there. They didn't
No, because
start.
they started realizing this is my priority, this is what I want, and this is what I
Yeah,
need. So I'm willing to invest into that. So, even if
absolutely.
it's a financial thing, maybe there's a way to start saving up because, eventually that's what you want to do. But it doesn't mean the only way of getting to where you want to go is by going on retreats all the time You got to start small. You got to start somewhere to allow yourself actually to see that you are worth going on a retreat also in a way. Right? That, this is money well spent because by the end of it, that's what you'll get for it, but only because you've already had that taste from the crumbs, right? It's the cookie crumbs in this case, maybe.
Exactly. Like, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not made for everybody. Thank God, because like I don't even know that I can handle that. But I am made for some people, and for the ones that I'm made for, it's a nourishing accomplishment because it's not even mine. It's what I show you what you are in and what you are capable of being, and like this is your truth and your power, and let's marry this ambition with your self-worth. Let's bring both of those together. And again, like you are the most essential project you will ever have. And like, how can you be in that authenticity and stay there? I mean, you can get to the authenticity as well. You can follow the breadcrumbs, eat the bread, and then fall back off. I've seen it happen a bazillion times over, but like the key and the magic is staying in it. Because once you see it, you don't unsee it. And then how do you stay and not going back?
Or even at least know where those breadcrumbs are. So, you can come back to that because we all sometimes fall off, I think, to a degree. But then we know, oh, there were the breadcrumbs, right? We got to go back to those to kind of feed ourselves in a way. And I think that's really important. Once you've done that, you can come back, and to know that in yourself and to trust that you can do that is also really important to try new things and risk and maybe go, breadcrumbs over there too. No, they're not. So I'll go back, or that direction. I think that's really important because often, especially as mothers, we lose ourselves a little bit because we're taking care of everybody else, right? And then sometimes initially it's hard to know which way is actually the way back to me because I wear so many hats. So I think that's also important to acknowledge that the practice of connecting to yourself, to your body, be it through yoga or be it through other ways, breath work. I just had an interview where you can regulate and reconnect with yourself through art also. So everybody can find a different way. But if you know that there is that way, you can always come back to it and reconnect.
It's your transportation.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, if you are one that loves to travel overseas, are you going to go by ship or by plane? You know what I mean? Like, let it be the one that takes you to your next step without judgment and without being in your own way. Don't blockade it.
Yeah, absolutely. And another question I'm wondering about, have got these two beautiful careers. You've got a beautiful son. How do you connect with yourself? You just mentioned you have this morning practice 7:30 that you offer to other people, but as an instructor, then you're probably more in the instructional setting mode, and then you've got your son there. So, but what do you do as a practice for yourself?
My fiance is at work and I'm at home by myself, and I've finished my tasks for the hour. And notice I said the hour, not the day. And I can then take a minute to reconnect and fill up. And that's what I do. But in the mornings, especially before the day begins, before my fiance even thinks I'm awake. And I'm just feeling out my body and I'm having moments of gratitude. I've got another day. Like, what is there to see? Let me be open to the opportunities. Let me create. What do I feel? Where do I feel it? Which chakra feels closed? And what do I need to do to move through it? Just a little body movement gets me to where I can start to feel open and aligned. And then it's like I ask, what do I need to know, or how can I have this move through me for my yoga class this morning? And that's where I'm at right now.
Wonderful. That's really nice. And I think it makes a big difference how you start your day, isn't it? Because if you check in with yourself, that's kind of the modality you set for the rest of the day too. Whereas if you just get up, brush your teeth, get washed, prepare breakfast, you're already going. And that's what you're setting yourself up for instead of first coming back to yourself. So I really love that you've created that routine for yourself. It's beautiful. Oh, wow. Okay, that's early.
We start early. So I get awake at 5:30, and then he leaves at 6, and then I have
Mhm.
30 minutes to sit with everything.
Mhm.
And then my son will, like clockwork, I don't know what his genus is, but he does at 6:30 every morning, wakes up, it's morning. And
No
then
alarm.
no,
Oh wow.
no, no, he is a morning bird. And then I come in, I set up the recording session and start my yoga.
Right. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I also want to take the opportunity to say I know there are a lot of moms out there who keep hearing, oh, you just get up earlier, you just get up before the kids, you fit in that me time before they even get up. And I know that that's not a reality for everyone. Would you have, from from your perspective as a yoga teacher, what would you recommend to those moms that the kids wake up with them or that just need that extra bit of sleep because maybe their kids are night owls and go to bed late and all of that? Do you have a recommendation for those moms?
Yes. Notice when he first asked me, my first response was not the morning, because that's kind of new, right? It's kind of
Okay.
new, and it's
Okay.
been going on since August that I've been able to do that, because that's when I started my 21 day. Because I was like, I'm going to have to be the thing that I'm trying to teach and all of that. But what I said was, in the middle when he's gone, like my son's gone to school and my fiance's gone to work, and like I've got the house to myself, I have a moment to myself, and I will do a 5 minute meditation, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. I could light a candle, and just noticing the opportunity around going on a walk is even great. But if I'm even at the office, like what I used to do, I would drive home, and I always did this. I would sit in my car before going in after work for like 10 minutes and just sit in my car. And even now I do that. I will drop off my son at school and I'll just sit in my driveway for 10 minutes. I'm sure my neighbors are like, this lady. So, but just sitting there in the silence, and after it's just kind of like cooled down.
Transitions also, from drop off or from work to the different modalities we're going into are so important. And it doesn't even have to be 10 minutes in my experience. Sometimes it's just acknowledging and taking a deep breath can already make a difference. Or when you're at the office, maybe you've got an important meeting, to kind of allow yourself 2-3 minutes before going into the meeting to just be with yourself and to tune in will make a difference in how you show up at that meeting and how maybe also confident you come across, or if somebody will speak over you and all of this. And it's such a small moment. It's such a small thing to do. Yeah, I love that you're honoring that and that you're still doing that transition time in your car. No matter, it doesn't matter what other people say, right? I think that's something we all can still learn, and yeah, I love it. Great.
It's a thing. Getting everyone else out of your head and their chirps about their perceptions on life. Like, man, if we could just all stop outsourcing ourselves to other people, we would
Mm-hmm.
really see the true value and our true worth of what we are. If we could
Mm-hmm.
just like stop outsourcing it.
Yeah, I think it's difficult on the other hand because we are humans and we want to connect with other people. So other people matter to us. And I think that that's probably one of the most difficult things to do, to realize, okay, what other people think or do says more about them than it says about me. And I can still be connected to them, even though I'm trying to distance myself from their behavior because I'm not, they decide how they want to behave or they decide what they want to think. That's not my fault, right?
For sure. Totally agree in all of that. Yes, and yes. I'm always like, well, that says more about them than it does me, right?
Mhm.
But what I also will do is I'll take that encounter and I'm like, why would they think that? And I am like, oh man, my brother, my mom, we're all like this ah container of just maybe bringing it in to really kind of say, what was my part? What led that to that reaction from them? What face did I make? Because that's one of my worst things, is like I can make a face that can set somebody off and they're like, just totally turned off. And I'm like, it's just my face. I don't know that I'm making it, but it's like a feeling that I feel that I make a certain face and it just will set someone off completely. And I'm like, it's just my face. But, like if no one knew it or you didn't see me, you wouldn't feel that way. But yeah, and those are things that I also take into consideration. Like, what was my role for that reaction?
No, I think no, I'm not saying you should disconnect yourself completely
No.
from it, but in terms of often we ruminate over things that we really can't control and that
Mhm.
we don't often even know what other people are thinking. We're just interpreting the way they were
Oh yeah.
talking or the way they were looking at us, the faces they made, in a way that is not kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
So
We internalize it like the
yes,
made up feeling, like we'll make up their feelings and then we
yeah.
internalize it. And then it's like, well, why did they feel that way? And then it's like getting to the end of it. They never said they felt that way. They never
Exactly.
said
Yeah.
they were even thinking that. And I just made this whole thing up. And now there goes
Because we're
15
in our
minutes.
heads. Yeah, because we're stuck in our heads sometimes. So
Yeah.
rumination is for me always a good sign that I've got to come back to my body and, either yoga or exercise. Then I know, and afterwards I'll have so much more clarity. Yeah, that. There's one more thing I was wondering about. If there's one thing that you'd love other mothers to take away from what we've discussed now, what would that be?
The one thing that I would love to see more mothers do is know that they are just as valued and worthy of connection, change, love as they give their kids. Because I think as mothers and nurturers, we tend to want everyone else in the room to be happy and feel safe and seen and loved and nourished. And then by the end of it, maybe there's not enough time for ourselves. And that's where we feel that we don't have enough time in a day. But if we could give ourselves these tiny pockets of love and nourishment like we would our own children, that's where that shift begins. And you're never going to, it's not selfish, like you're never going to be more loved and nourished than what your kids are. And when you're in that capacity, but just allowing yourself to receive what you give in from your heart, but also receive it.
That was beautiful. Thank you. If listeners wanted to find you and maybe, I don't know, if that's an online session you said that you're doing in the mornings. If they wanted to join that, where would they find out more? Where could they sign up? And of course, we'll put that all down in the show notes too.
Best ways you can follow what I'm doing and everything on Instagram, and that's the Fits In Project. But I have a website called fitsinyoga.com, and I have everything on there as well. I'd love for you to subscribe to my newsletter to be part of my community. That's my most intimate way of communication is I send out one email a week through my newsletter, and I've got my mini prioritize, the Fits and Prioritize thing that I will give to you as well. So if you wanted to download that or have access to that, you would join through the subscription to the newsletter, and then that would send that through email once you do. So yeah, there's multiple ways to get in contact to be part of my community. And I would love to have mothers seeking just some self love and self worth, and all while mixing it with ambition and family. Like, come on in.
Right. I love that. Wonderful. And lastly, what's one small moment recently where you felt most like yourself, grounded, connected, or simply more you, where you really felt that and I don't know, that gave you a warm feeling and yeah.
Asking me all the time. I was at my yoga retreat, and I was leading the workshop in the business of yourself, and that's my whole MO basically. And I knew I was in my right place at the right time doing the thing that I knew I was meant to do, as I felt my whole body just open up and there was so much release and overflow. We were all kind of emotional in this sense, but witnessing the breakthroughs of my students that came to that in a forum that I was actually leading, I just knew in my heart, like my son was safe, everything was protected in that moment. And I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be, just beyond a shadow of a doubt, the most certain clarity.
So beautiful. And you can carry
Thank
that
you.
with you to the next retreat,
Yeah. Yeah.
into your life, of course, into your day. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Rachel. I really enjoyed our conversation. I think we've covered so much, and I hope our listeners can take away a lot for themselves too. So yeah,
Oh,
thank you for joining me.
you're welcome. And thank you so much for having me. It was such a treat to talk through this. Thank you.
Thank you.